Public hearing in Delhi on solar and battery storage. Senior meals abruptly canceled, then saved. Catskills feel the pain of disappearing farmland. These are just some of the headlines this week. Welcome to Catskills Air. I'm Jessica Murphy, here with your latest local news. Joining me now is Matt Avitable, editor and publisher of the Mountain Eagle and Catskills Chronicle. Welcome, Matt. Let's get right to the news. Delhi Town Council proposed 2 laws calling for a moratorium on future solar and battery storage. Matt, why will there be a public hearing about this?
The Delhi Town Board had a spirited discussion about a potential solar storage moratorium with a public hearing set for June 8th. It's going to be at 6:31. That's a Monday. The moratorium would allow the town time to develop local laws and regulation regarding such commercial projects related to commercial solar storage on batteries. We also saw a report from Councilmember Josh Morgan, who also serves as a code enforcement officer for neighboring municipalities, saying that such laws are being developed across the state.
Delaware County canceled its contract with a separate organization that provided meals to seniors. We previously discussed this on Catskills Air, but last week, Delaware Opportunities announced that it would stop meals to seniors 60 and older on May 7th. That move forced Delco to quickly take over the program. A statement issued by the Board of Supervisors reads, "The Delaware Office of the Aging has worked closely with our dietitian and Paizo's restaurant in Delhi to develop nutritionally balanced meal menus for the next 2 weeks. They stress that all meals will be served at each of the 6 meal sites and that home deliveries will continue as scheduled." So Matt, this is pretty terrifying for anyone who is homebound or unable to afford a decent meal. So why did Delaware Opportunities pull out so quickly, and what's ahead for seniors in need?
There's more in the paper with specific times, but there's going to be specific places that will allow these meals to be available at 11:30 a.m. at the Delhi Dining Center, Grand Gorge Civic Center, St. John's Catholic Church in Walton, and in Hancock, with temporary locations at the Margaretville Fire Department, as well as the Community Cultural Center in Sydney. It's a really unfortunate situation, and I hope that the Office for the Aging and the county will be able to work it out.
Well, this is a situation Catskills Air will continue to cover, and if you need assistance, please contact the Delaware County Department of Aging. The Board of Supervisors also had other business to cover this week. Reporter Mary Crisafulli covered their May meeting. The county got several grants, so what will the money be used for?
Not a lot happened at the last County Board of Supervisors meeting. It seemed like a lot might have been on the agenda. They did accept some grant rewards, but at their May 13th meeting, ultimately, they heard several reports, including almost $700,000 going to the Department of Emergency Services from the State Division of Homeland Security. It's going to be used for a fiber optic network for the 911 call center, as well as improvements to the network. There's a $29,000 grant that's heading to the Health Services Department that will be used to develop Sensory Corner at Delaware Opportunities Head Start. County Youth Bureau wound up with a little more than $4,000, but otherwise not too much. They wound up, the supervisors and county officials went on a watershed tour, but ultimately, according to County Chair and Bovina Town Supervisor Tina Mollet, she said she was speechless at how great it went. Sounds like we'll have more of an update in the coming weeks.
Mary also wrote up the Middletown Board monthly workshop meeting. So what are the plans for the transfer station, Matt?
They talked about several transfer station updates. This was conducted by Delta Engineering to assess the feasibility of updating the transfer station along Route 30. The committee was formed about 2 years ago, as we've talked about in the past, so other critical updates include the construction of on-site restroom facilities, an easy-to-see visual of the unloading for the office staff, and how to improve traffic flow. Nelson Delameter, the committee member and council member, noted that the engineers were outstanding to work with. Next step will be to include gaining a clearer area of feasibility. It's about a 5% increase potentially in material costs, according to the engineers.
Some of Fleischmann's trustees met last week to pass a budget. They kept it under the state-mandated cap. So what and why did a few attendees question the budget?
So we wound up with a few questions at the Fleischmann's meeting, but ultimately it was a just over 1% tax increase. That's the tax cap, actually just a little bit under. We see an almost $59,000 increase over the planned expenses from the 2025-2026 budget, and about $443,000 will be raised by taxes and about 99,000, a little less than 100 for the sewer budget. During the public comment, though, former Mayor Winifred Zubin raised several concerns. She said that she was concerned about a significant decrease in liability, property insurance, and building maintenance. Current Mayor Sam Gill noted the concerns and said that he would talk to the bookkeeper later on.
The Catskills are losing farmland faster than the rest of the country. What is the cause, according to a new report from the state comptroller?
The strain of farmland disappearing at a higher than average rate here in upstate New York. New York in general is losing more farmland than other areas, and rural areas like Schoharie, Delaware, and Greene counties all see pressures on farmers. 80% of the farms that were shut down in recent years were small operations earning less than $100,000. Many of these were family owned. We also go into more depth about why this is happening, including farms being smaller in comparison to other larger ones in other parts of the country. More in this week's edition.
The Roxbury Town Board discussed bridges, budgets, and playgrounds. So Matt, give us the highlights on what decisions were made.
Roxbury heard some updates, and there's going to be more as that Roxbury funding gets underway. That being said, on Monday, we wound up seeing a small amount of time devoted to an executive session before discussing several grant and funding opportunities. With that, playgrounds were discussed. The town supervisor, Alan Hinckley, talked about a concern about one of the bridges in town, that ultimately the bridge, popularly known as Romeo's Purple Bridge across the Delaware River, is not in good shape. He said that the head walls are caving in, the roads are cracked now. There's also further discussion about senior meals, as we discussed earlier, and ultimately one of the newspaper alums, Michael Martin, stepped up and is helping to ensure that the county will provide meals. There's further hope that with funds coming in, that the playground and other revitalization projects will begin soon.
The Bovina Town Council also covered an array of issues this month, including logging on public property. What was decided about the timber behind the transfer station and other businesses?
The Bovina Town Council decided to issue a contract of a little more than $80,000 to the Green Lumber Company LP for the logging of town-owned property behind the transfer station. This has been a topic for months now. This is ultimately a 64-acre property. The council had hired Watershed Agricultural Council certified forester Jim Curtis to mark the trees available for logging. The town will receive 85% of the funds, and 15% of the funds will go to the lumber company. In other business, the Catskill Mountain Club and their representative Peter Manning announced that the proceeds from the third annual Bovina 5K will fund 2 trail access projects. This is going to include a feasibility study for parking development and trail maintenance. The 2 areas are the Bovina side of the Bramley Mountain Fire Tower Trail along that road and a 5.5-mile Plattekill State Forest Trail.
Stamford is quickly moving forward with its $4.5 million downtown rehab projects, and a team is pictured in the paper there, Matt. What is the planning committee looking for?
Our own Liz Page got a picture of a walkabout of local officials as state and local officials are trying to figure out how to best utilize $4.5 million announced 2 weeks ago for the village of Stamford. There is hope that with the consultants and with the state, as well as a lot of local input, that many projects that Stamford has needed for a long time will get underway.
The Hancock Town Board unanimously updated its Code of Ethics in Other Business. Why are policies in need of revamping?
Kristen Barron wrote about this one on the cover of the Hancock Herald, with the town board unanimously adopting updates to their Code of Ethics and a new policy governing what documents they would need formally recorded at their May 5th meeting. The resolutions were approved without comments. This is intended to replace the previous ethics code from about 10 years ago with adjustments based on a revised New York State Comptroller model issued about 5 years ago in 2021. And the resolution states that the town attorney reviewed the code and found that it is deficient or out of date, including in areas that were discretionary rather than mandatory, including for recusal and abstention. The absence of procedures to follow when an officer is disqualified from a matter, lack of restrictions on the supervision of relatives, and absence of any political solicitation restrictions. There's a lot more on the cover of the Hancock Herald this week. Make sure to pick one up.
Art and Healthcare made quite a match at the annual Catch fundraiser. Full details, please.
We had a great set of photos this week on the cover of the Catskills Chronicle. Our own Robert Brune covered this one. We had talked about the catch auction plans, and ultimately it wound up being wildly successful, raising more than $70,000, including through donations, ticket sales, paddle raise contributions, and of course, a lot of beautiful art. If you want to see the photos, check out the cover of the paper. It's continued inside with a lot more detail. A lot of people volunteered to make this happen, and I'm proud of all of them.
It looks like all had a wonderful time. Several school budgets had to be locked in before the deadline this Tuesday, May 19th. So what are some of the financial hangups facing area schools?
We talked about the Margaretville budget recently. Let's talk about several others that are heading to the polls. Charlotte Valley is going to be looking at a little more than $13 million, which is an increase of about 4% of their budget and about a 3.5% tax levy increase. We're also going to see Jefferson holding their budget hearing on May 12th. Depending on when you're watching this, the budget totals will be about $8.3 million, which is about 2.33% higher, with a tax increase of a little more than 2.5% if approved. South Courtright will be voting on May 19th from noon to 8. Depending on when you watch it, this may have happened, and ultimately it's looking at slightly less than a $12 million budget with a 1.71% potential tax increase. And of course, Stanford winds up with a little less than $12 million in their budget, and if it passes, it's going to be a 2.58% tax increase.
Delhi's Delaware Academy is ahead of the game. Their budget is passed unanimously. So where is some of the money going in the next school year?
Also talking about budgets, our own Brandon Raul Ramirez from our SUNY Oneonta partnership wrote about the proposed $25.4 million budget for the next school year at its April 20th meeting. We had talked about this a little bit, some more detail here, which includes a 10% increase over the current year, and depending on when you're watching this, had a public vote on May 19th. We wound up seeing all of those present voting in favor of the proposal. District officials noted that a lot of this increase is tied to repaying construction loans for recent building projects that were largely covered by state funding rather than local taxpayers.
Also, Delaware Academy proudly announced its two top seniors, who are the valedictorian and salutatorian.
Delaware Academy also had more news come out this week. Lucianne Smith has been named the valedictorian, and Rebecca Verspor will be the salutatorian of Delaware Academy at their graduation in June. They have a lot of accomplishments. Lucianne, for example, is a member of the varsity soccer team. She has been captain for 2 seasons, member of the Spanish Club, varsity club, ski club, and has worked on many, many other projects, while Rebecca has been very active, a member of the volleyball, basketball, and softball teams, and represented Section 4 on the NISFA Student Athlete A Council, and she has also been a member of the school's jazz band, orchestra, and chorus. She really put my high school career to shame. Congratulations to both.
The electric yellow school bus is on its way to Margaretville, so when can MCS expect this new cool bus?
Margaretville Central School is getting ready to receive delivery of its first electric school bus through a state grant program that had been unanimously approved by the Board of Education. The anticipated delivery date is going to be May 28th. This happened after several years of research. It's a unique situation here in the area with the use of buses, but ultimately the hope is that this will provide an opportunity to study the technology, according to Superintendent Michelle Austerhout.
While speaking of MCS, music students won top honors at a statewide solo fest. Tell us about these talented soloists.
A lot of honors for Margaretville Central School students, who wound up seeing them having an impressive showing at last weekend's NISMA Solo Festival in Norwich. 16 vocalists and instrumentalists between grades 5 to 12 had dedicated months of their time here. Ultimately, did a great job with outstanding honors.
SUNY Delhi honored an Oneonta family whose ties to the college go back 8 decades. How was the Brooks family celebrated?
This one's a bit of a personal touch. Brooks Barbecue, so famous and so good in Oneonta, had actually started in Delhi, and they've been very good to the area and to the newspaper. We have a picture of John Brooks, who graduated from SUNY Delhi in 1967, and if you're watching, is a heck of a nice guy. He ultimately is being honored. The Brooks family is going to honor alumni with the Welcome Center named after their family. It is going to be a great opportunity for future SUNY Delhi students and, of course, alumni.
Congrats to the Brooks family. We all love your BBQ. Roxbury Arts Group also had a reason to celebrate. What are the annual grant awards?
Mother's Day weekend saw a lot of celebration, including of local art. Inside the Roxbury Arts Group, there were a number of major projects announced through the Grants Awards ceremony. A lot of projects that were worthy received funding. This included photography, mural work, music composition, literature, film, multidisciplinary projects, and our own Robert Broom covered it with some photos and more on the cover of this week's Mountain Eagle.
And the Delco District Attorney singled out a paralegal for a special shout out. Who was Eric Northrup?
We've talked about Eric Northrup and all the work he's done for the Delaware County District Attorney's Office. The paralegal there has been working there for about a year and a half as legal secretary before becoming paralegal, and currently administers a traffic diversion program. He assists attorneys with discovery, filing motions, and more. And this week was honored by District Attorney Sean Smith. His office said that Eric has proved to be up for any task requested of him, whether it's transporting victims of cases to court, conducting interviews, and has been a stellar employee for the office.
Well, big congratulations to Eric as well as to all their RAG grant winners. And turning now to those who broke the law, a Walton woman was convicted of drug dealing.
Jubilee Climas, age 22, of Walton, pleaded guilty to a Class B felony of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the third degree of methamphetamine with the intention of selling on May 5th. She and her co-defendant had possessed 8 to 10 baggies containing over 1/8 of an ounce of meth when they were arrested in Walton in January of this year, and admitted that her intention was to sell.
A Bainbridge man pled guilty to possession and intent to sell fentanyl.
Jason Gray, age 48, of Bainbridge, pleaded guilty to the Class B felony of criminal possession of a controlled substance in the third degree, possession of fentanyl with the distribution intent on May 5th. He admitted that he was intending to sell that fentanyl, and District Attorney Sean Smith commended Officer Royce Terry of the Village of Sydney Police for his great work and said that because of Officer Terry's work, a large quantity of dangerous drugs was removed from our community, and another drug dealer is headed to state prison.
An Oneonta woman pled guilty to burglary of a Davenport tractor supply.
Destiny Grant, age 27, of Oneonta, appeared in county court on May 5th and pleaded guilty to attempted burglary in the third degree, which is a Class E felony, and it was alleged that the defendant, along with other co-defendants, had knowingly and unlawfully entered the tractor supply right on the cusp of Oneonta in the town of Davenport with the intent to commit the crime of larceny during the month of April 2025. She was sentenced to 5 years of felony probation supervision as a result of her conviction.
Well, that's the area news for this week. For more on these and other articles, pick up the Mountain Eagle or Catskills Chronicle. But Matt, before you go, give us a quick peek into the articles coming up next time.
We have a lot of meeting coming up and the close of baseball season. We have some hot baseball teams we'll be covering. I know that John has a lot to discuss about it as well. The county board is going to be having another meeting. Hopefully they're going to make more progress, and we're going to keep on this senior meals topic. This is a very important one to many people in Delaware County, one of the oldest counties in the state, and hopefully we can help find a solution.
Thanks for keeping us all up to date. We will see you next week, Matt. And now it's time to talk sports. Here's John with Delaware League Championships.
It was championship week in the Delaware League and Mid-State Athletic Conference, with the DL boys baseball and girls softball games staged at Newell Park in Oneonta. The baseball title game pitted the DL regular season champion, South Courtright Margaretville, against the regular season runner-up, Gilboa Roxbury. As they have so many times in the past, it was the Rams who brought home the victory 6-2. It was SK Margaretville's first DL title as a combined program. Garrett Drop went the distance on the hill, striking out 8. Anthony Maggio knocked out 3 hits for the victors. In girls DL championship play, Wyndham continued their undefeated season, winning their first ever Delaware League crown. The Warriors won a squeaker when Mackenzie Shoemaker's hit in the 7th inning drove in the winning run, capping a 6-5 victory over Charlotte Valley Scandivas. Hannah Tuttle struck out 18 batters for the champions. Xander Johnson continued his excellence on the pitcher's mound, firing a 2-hit shutout, lifting Unitigo Franklin over Deposit Hancock 2-0 in the Mid-State Athletic Conference Championship game. Johnson struck out 10, as well as knocking out 2 hits at the plate. Tyler Reese made it a pitching duel with a strong 12 strikeout performance for Deposit Hancock. Although the Deposit Hancock baseball team came up short, that was not the case with the Deposit Hancock girls softball team. The Eagles would come home with their 3rd consecutive MAC championship, defeating 2nd-seeded Bainbridge Guilford 10-5. Ivy Tice blasted a 6th-inning solo home run to thwart a possible Bobcat comeback rally. That's our sports report for this week.
Thanks, John. Some sports are played on a field, others are in a field. It's turkey youth hunting season, and Bloomfield team Brantley Komasinski bagged a 19-pound bird. Wow, the Tom sported a 7-inch beard with 7 to 8 spurs. Way to go, buddy. And mark your calendars, May 30th is the Catskills Cup Spring Fling. The bash supports the Greene County Animal Alliance. The afternoon party is full of music, food, and fun to support the furry friends and bring people together, but you must be 21 to party. For a younger crowd, the Stamford Golf Club hosts its junior golf clinic in July. So if your son or daughter want to be the next Scotty Scheffler or Nelly Korda, this is a great way to do it. Now let's check with Elizabeth on arts and entertainment.
Hello everybody, welcome to this week's Focus on the Arts news spot. New gallery, I'll call for artists. Mary Crockett, she's a fabulous artisan, portrait artist, landscapes. Her technique is beautiful. She has decided to partner with Lion Eye Books, Main Street, Stamford, and has a small area for a gallery. So if you would like to put some of your artwork in or talk to them about that, you need to check out Mary Crockett's Crockett Art Gallery, Main Street, Stamford. May 23rd to June 21st, 6 artists will be doing Off the Wall, a 3-dimensional art show in the community center at the Gilboa Museum, using discarded cast-off items, being very talented and creative with all the items in our world and making things, from sculpture to paintings, any kind of fiber art you can imagine. Off the Wall at the Gilboa Museum Community Center, May 23rd to June 21st. Group show, Gilboa Museum. Worth 1,000 words, narrative in art. Work that tells a story without words. You can contact them online, GilboaHS@ProtonMe. You definitely want to do this. So a wonderful group show, Gilboa Museum, June 6th deadline. You can go online and check more about it. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful creative day. It's beautiful living in the Catskills. Let's be kind. See you next time.
Thanks, Elizabeth. There's always something fun to do. Friday, May 22nd kicks off the first Summer Fridays in Fleischmann's Street Stroll. Come to the village to sip, sit, shop, meander, mingle, and manja. There'll be music, munchies, and more. If you love music in the mountains, collect records, then the Mountaintop Record Club Record Fair is for you on Sunday, May 24th. Join fellow music buffs, musicians, and everyone melodious for a day of swaps, rock, and memories. Or if old records isn't your thing, but the future is, then check out Crossing the Rubicon. Also on Sunday, May 24th, Dr. Stephen Christopher Rose, a bioengineering expert and Andy's resident, talks about artificial intelligence and how it works. Well, if that isn't enough to rock your world, maybe next week's weather finally will. We are all hoping for sunny skies. Here's the forecast.
Heidi-ho, friends and neighbors. It's Lori with CatskillsAir, bringing you your weekly weather update for the beautiful, pristine, still highly wacky and unpredictable weather Catskill Mountain region. And what a fabulous end to the weekend we had. And it looks like for the start of the week, we're going to feel like we're in summer. However, by the end of the week, we're going to feel like we're in fall. And for the holiday weekend, it's going to be downright chilly in the Catskill Mountains. So let's give it a go and check out what's happening in the Catskill Mountain for this week in weather. On Monday, we can expect a mix of sun and clouds, hot with breezy conditions. Temperatures in the upper 80s, winds blowing out of the southwest at 10 to 15. Overnight, we have partly cloudy skies. It's going to remain warm. Temps are going to be in the mid to upper 60s, winds lightly blowing out of the southwest at 5 to 10. On Tuesday, we have partly cloudy skies, hot and humid. The chance of a stray pop-up shower and thunderstorm is possible. Temps are going to be in the mid to upper 80s. Winds are going to be blowing out of the west-southwest at 10 to 20. Overnight, we have a few clouds from time to time with temps still warm in the upper 60s. Winds lightly blowing out of the west-southwest at 5 to 10. On Wednesday, we have partly cloudy skies with showers and thunderstorms likely. Temps are going to reach the mid-70s. Winds blowing out of the west at 10 to 15. Overnight, we have partly to mostly cloudy skies with a chance of a stray shower or thunderstorm. Temps are going to be in the low to mid 40s. Winds are going to be out of the northwest at 10 to 15. On Thursday, we have cloudy skies early with a partial clearing in the afternoon. Temps are going to top out at 60. Winds out of the north-northwest at 5 to 10. Overnight, we have partly cloudy skies. It's going to be cool, upper 30s, low 40s. Winds out of the north-northeast at 5 to 10. And on Friday, we have morning sun with increasing afternoon clouds. Those temps will be in the mid to low 60s. Winds out of the southeast at 5 to 10. And overnight, we have cloudy skies with a chance of scattered occasional showers. Temps are going to dip back to the upper 40s. Winds light and variable. As I bid you farewell, remember the weather and temperature changes on a dime, especially in the beautiful Cats. Be sure to join me for your weekend weather update because we're going to have to get the sweatshirts and the warm clothing back out for the weekend. So see you then from somewhere in the Cats.
That's it for CatskillsAir News. If you see something out there, let us know. I'm Jessica Murphy. Bye for now.